Essentially, I wrote at the headline, "Why do I want to be sober?" I think asking the question why is the first step to really allowing your mind to start finding solutions and finding ways for you to overcome a specific challenge or situation that you're in. Yo, what's going on? Welcome to another episode at the Co-Creator Podcast. Today we're doing something different where I'm going to share with you guys a little bit of about my sobriety journey, what that has looked like, and why I even did what I did with wanting to quit weed, wanting to stop smoking, and overall just quit doing any type of substances that was just influencing the way that I would think, act, and do things. And I think that's very important to share in today's age because a lot of people smoke weed, and I'm not going to sit here and demonize weed the whole video, but I'm simply just going to share my journey on what that has been like, the pros or cons, and why, I think that at some point in your life, you should want to be fully sober to be able to just think more clearly and get a hold of yourself, especially if you've done drugs early on in life and it didn't help you in a positive way. And you're not, Snoop Dogg and Wiz Khalifa who got sponsorships and get to make money off this product, of the substance. So I made a statement on May 24th, 2013. You guys can see it here. If not, I can take a picture and then put it here as B-roll. But essentially, I wrote at the headline, "Why do I want to be sober?" I think asking the question why is the first step to really allowing your mind to start finding solutions and finding ways for you to overcome a specific challenge or situation that you're in. For me, the main 6 things that I wrote down was, number 1, I wanted to be my true, authentic self. Number 2, I wanted to build genuine connections. Number 3, I wanted to free myself from external sources. Number 4, I wanted to heal childhood trauma. Number 5, to break the shackles of my mind. That one's powerful. Number 6, to help raise consciousness in the world. At that time, those were the main 6 indicators that my soul was telling me, was showing me through experiences that I needed to quit smoking weed. And majority of my life, I have been very, very, very hard-headed around making hard decisions that dictate the way that people perceive me as. For example, when I was younger, I would hang around the wrong crowd, just the hood people to fit in. But also I was raised in that neighborhood, so that's all I ever knew. And I would mostly do it to want to fit in, to feel part of a community, just like anyone else. If you look at the basic human needs, the hierarchy of basic human needs, you have community in there, I think right in the middle. And I have done and made a lot of decisions in my life to please other people, and that's a pattern that I noticed repeatedly over and over in my life, again and again, is the pattern of wanting to please people. And when you constantly want to please people, you start to devaluate and you start to kind of water down who you really are as a person, because there's this saying, if you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. And to me, that happened to be true. And honestly, it just didn't make me feel like I was just being the best version of myself. I didn't feel authentic. I didn't feel like I really just was this person that I knew I could become the whole time. Internally, like, we all have this vision, this picture of who we really are versus how we actually act in the real world and how others perceive us. And it's kind of like a combination of all 3 of those. And it took just a lot of time for me to be able to get to this place where I'm at today, where I've been 35 days sober. It's supposed to be a 30-day video, but kind of procrastinated the process of creating this video. But I wanted to just get it out into the world and share the journey, because I think it's important on how we can all come from different walks of life and be able to overcome these substances, these abusive patterns that are self-imposed, because you have the choice at any time to consciously start to work on breaking these patterns and becoming the best version of yourself. The journey hasn't been pretty. Don't let anyone tell you it's pretty. It's not. You just quit and you're perfect and everything's perfect now, and you're making all this money and everything is just amazing, because the truth is that it's not. You're still going to be dealing with the same old belief systems, with the same subconscious patterns that you've been programming yourself, that society has programmed you, that your parents have programmed you since a young age. And what you find to realize is that you'll start to have a lot of resistance, because consciously you know that you want to become a different person, that you want to embody this different identity, but internally your subconscious mind still believes that you're this old person. So the internal work starts being a process where you start to have to consciously rewire your subconscious mind in order for that program to be downloaded into your mind, your subconscious mind, so you can start operating from that framework. And there's different ways to do this, right? You can do this through meditation, affirmations, reading books, but really it's just getting yourself in a state of calmness, so you can relax. And pretty much what you're doing, you're just like slowing down your brain waves. Because right now, as I'm awake and I'm doing all this stuff, doing all these things, my brain waves are very high. They're in alpha. So the goal is to get them down to theta, and get them down to a slower brave wing pattern, so you're able to get past the guardian of the subconscious mind, which is the conscious mind, the analytical mind, and you're able to get into the subconscious mind and plant these new seeds and plant these new thoughts, so you can embody and start to become this new person. So that's a little bit about how that works. Obviously, I can go into further detail with that, and I will do that in a separate video. I got some really cool stuff coming for you guys. But yeah, try quitting. Couldn't quit. As you guys seen, I just said I was 35 days sober, so obviously I didn't quit in May 24th, but this is when I actually wrote it down in a piece of paper with blue ink pen on what my plan was going to be. Why I wanted to be sober was the most important thing. Without a why, it's really hard to stick to things in life. And then I was like, okay, well, how am I going to get sober? Well, I wrote down 3 ways. Willingness to want to get sober. You got to be willing to do something. Mastermind group to help and support the journey. So I started asking for help. That was the biggest one. I started reaching out to people who have overcame drug addiction, who have overcame similar abusive patterns that I had experienced or were experiencing at that time. And third, aware of your situation. So I just needed to be aware of what was happening and where I wanted to go. So out of those 3, honestly, the most helpful one was willing, and second was the mastermind group, finding a group of people that you can talk to about these things and that can be in your corner, prepared to help you in those times where you might feel like relapsing, where the old patterns might be coming up and you're still not aware or educated on how the subconscious and conscious mind works. Those are very important because they will allow you to break the pattern of being yourself. So I wrote down how to get sober. And I even went a step further on 5 steps to get sober. And then I wrote down how do you stay motivated to stay sober. I'm gonna show you guys a picture so you guys can read those things and go over some of those things. But I wanted to share also some of the pros and cons of what it's like being in this state of where you're just aware. I feel like majority of the time I'm just in pure awareness, and sometimes I even reach the state of bliss. Whenever I'm just dialed in, or flow, I should say, a state of flow where I'm just flowing. And some of those pros for me, truthfully, was just more clear focus, just laser eye focus. I wake up and I feel determined. I feel motivated to get after my goals, to get after everything that I have set out for myself and the reality that I want to live, and the man that I want to embody, the characteristics that I want to embody. I wake up every day determined to be that person. And it is day and night difference on how I show up in my container, around my business, around my relationships, and how I talk to myself and how I treat myself. Day and night different. I cannot tell you otherwise, because that's just the truth. I'm more inspired to connect with others. So before, when I used to smoke weed, I would seclude myself. I would just lock myself up in the house, light up fucking 10 to 20 joints and just smoke all day and barely get enough work done to get paid. And honestly, I just wasn't okay with that. I knew deep down inside that I was cheating myself. I was cheating my clients. I was, just cheating the collective consciousness and our brothers and sisters from this version of myself that I could be, that I could become, that could benefit the greater good of all humanity. So I had to be aware of this, and it's just been huge because I've made so many meaningful connections now, and I feel that these meaningful connections are way more fulfilling than hitting a joint, than hitting than smoking some weed, taking a drink, or even having sex. For example, meaningless sex with a stranger, or just masturbating as well. That's another one there. Trying to get those cheap dopamine hits is something that's not being talked about enough. Now, some of the cons were more aware of my problems. So the con is, once you become sober, you start to notice what you didn't notice before. You start to notice the subconscious patterns. You start to notice how toxic certain environments and relationships were, and how you were just tolerating them because you were smoking weed. Because truthfully, let's talk about it. Weed makes you feel like things are okay, right? We've heard Cat Williams play this clip. He was saying like, you smoke some weed and you say, fuck it. The light bill comes and you can't pay. You'll say some shit like, fuck it, I've been waiting all damn year to light these candles up, right? So it goes to show that weed just makes certain things okay. And I just wasn't okay with this reality, the version of me that I was, and the work that I was putting out from the energetic standpoint that I was operating out of. And I knew I had to snap out of that sooner and later, or I was going to become a victim to that reality, and I was going to literally live a life that I hated. And I just could not do that. That right there was when I knew I had to change things. I had to embody a new identity. I had to let go of the old programming. I had to let go of the old habits. I had to let go of the old friends. I had to let go of wanting to fit in all the time. And I had to get comfortable with being alone. Not lonely, being alone. I had to be okay with sitting with my thoughts. I had to be okay with smelling my own shit. The own shit that I've dug myself into, I had to be okay with that. Long enough to do something about it. Not to sit in it and play the victim mentality, but to sit in it and create a plan and be aware of what's happening so you can get yourself out of that. Some of the other cons was didn't fit in with the crowd. So now I have less friends. I have less people to hang out with, which, wasn't ideal. I love people. I love conversating, hanging out with different people, and through all walks of life, right? I can hang out with hood niggas. I can hang out with, entrepreneurs. I can hang out with professionals, speakers, whatever it is, right? And have a genuine conversation and feel like that I can hang in there with them. Because at the end of the day, I just want to get to know them and hear their story and see where they came from and how they've overcome certain challenges. The first 1 to 2 weeks are going to be the most terrible. For me, I had nightmares, cold sweats, and I couldn't sleep. Those were the main 3 ones. So just literally suffering at night, wanting to sleep, couldn't sleep, falling asleep, waking up drenched in sweat, and also having terrible nightmares that just really wouldn't allow me to sleep at all. Now those are completely gone. I don't really experience any of that stuff no more, just because I've really just dialed down my diet. I've dialed down my workout routine. I've dialed down my meditation practices, and I've just been really disciplined with this process because I understand how important my mental state is if I want to get to the next level, right? If I want to continue to level up and impact thousands and thousands of lives, then I need to understand how to work my mind and how it works. What is my vision now, and what are things looking like for the next 3 to 6 months? For me, my goal right now is I've never been sober for 6 months or longer. So my goal is to hit 6 months, and not to celebrate and go smoke weed and go do a bunch of dumb shit, but to reach that goal and share the journey and show others that it is possible to be 6 months sober, to be a year sober. Who knows? Maybe I'll be sober for the rest of my life. Or maybe, after 6 months, I might dabble, here and there, maybe with like psychedelics, mushrooms specifically, if I need to unpack something, or just depending on what season of life I'm in. So having a discernment to know when it's okay to, if needed to tap into some of these substances, specifically maybe weed for some breath work, maybe mushrooms for a deep meditation, maybe some LSD to connect with nature and Mother Earth. These are all tools, guys, that you can use, and some of them are okay as long as you're moderating them and the intention is coming from the right place. So that is a little bit about my journey. I know that was a little bit long-winded, and thank you for those of you that made it this far. I wouldn't be here without you, and I appreciate everyone's attention and intention with watching this content. I hope that you're able to extract some of this information for yourself and apply it in your personal life, because you truly deserve to be wealthy, healthy, and have a ton of relationships that you can be proud of. Love you guys. I'll see you in the next one.